Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Hello and welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh and I'm here with Gretta and Carol, and we're very pleased to be a part of Transformation Network. We are really happy to be on Transformation Network every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, and of course, you can listen to us on any of your favorite streaming platforms. So these conversations will help you look at your life, your creation of reality, what is showing up, and perhaps maybe how you can look at things a little differently. If you're new to the podcast, each week, Carol, Gretta, and I discuss a quotation that Gretta has downloaded from the Realm of Beings. And then towards the end of the podcast, we actually have the realm join us and they get to weigh in on their quotation. So this week, we are going to be chatting about stuckness. And we are going to try and stop being stuck and work our way out of that if we are experiencing those kind of feelings at this time. So ladies, how are you?
Great. Leigh, you didn't give the actual quote.
Yes, I know. I was checking in, you guys. So our quotation this week is, you can always change. You are never stuck. And I think a lot of us know that on a level, that change is always possible. But how come we kind of, I guess things sometimes ebb and flow. We don't always feel stuck, but sometimes we feel a little more stuck in place than others.
Gretta, whereas we definitely know that the realm, and you always teach us that we can always change. And how many times have they said, if you don't like the reality you're creating, just change it? And it almost sounds like you just snap your fingers and ta-da, new reality. But it doesn't happen that way. So how do we get unstuck? If we even know this already and still get stuck, how do we get out of it?
You know what, for both of you, what I was thinking of? I was thinking of the Wizard of Oz and how you click your heels. We're all going to put on red shoes, men and women, red boys and girls, red shoes, and click our heels, and there we go.
I think I still have red shoes.
Part of the getting stuck, and we've talked about this, so this is also in different podcasts as well, but they wanted to get an opportunity to say this again, because part of being stuck is a belief in destiny, and what's the other? Fate. Those are the two things. No, that's just two of the two. I can't even talk this morning.
Everybody's tongue-tied today. Let's create reality.
Yeah. So it's being stuck is you believe, and see, this can be a cultural belief, it can be a family belief, It can be just a religious
Religious.
belief,
Yeah.
you know, that we're bombarded with, we're bombarding ourselves with, and we feel that we have a destiny. Or someone this morning even mentioned, I'm destined. I said, you're not destined for anything, you know, and there is no fate. In other words, karma.
Right.
I'm going to, um, if I do something wrong, I'm going to pay for it. But you know what? If you're going to do something right, you're going to pay for that as well.
Yeah. It works
So
both ways.
absolutely, absolutely. So, but that's, and the other one that we have definitely talked about is looping.
Mhm.
Looping keeps you stuck. It's like getting in you're driving down this road and the road is muddy, but you see the ruts that you're in. So you kind of stay in the rut. Or when you're driving in the snow, for those people who have had that experience, you want to drive in the tracks of the other drivers who have gone before you, because then you don't have to deal with all the snow. You can just go right down the rut, you know. So it's like that.
But if
And
you already believe, like you already don't, like I know for me, I definitely don't believe in fate or destiny. And yet I still find myself looping and being stuck. I feel like the loop de loop, you know, the rides at the carnivals.
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
just need somebody with a big giant pair of scissors to cut that loop and let it flatten out for me so I can move forward. I mean, I don't know what other visual analogy I can give, but that's really how I feel. I seem to just not be able to get unstuck.
See, one thing that we use is to find the loop. To find the loop. Once you find the loop, then you can QDR the entire loop.
Mm.
Like I just had a lady who was, you know, looping. I've had people, let me say this. I've had people looping in all kinds of things. Myself, I've been looping. And those loops, they don't just come in and go out. I mean, you can spend years in one loop. I have spent actually 62 years of my life in one loop before I recognized the loop. The first step is to recognize it. But I feel Leigh is thinking about something. I can tell by her eyes.
Well, I'm just thinking about, I've been doing some research lately, and I know that we say that this is an illusion and whatnot, but I feel like, our physical forms feel like pretty present. So if everything is just energy, is another method to try and, release some pain and trauma. Is it actually trying to work on the physical body and, to remove like places where energy gets stuck, or because we've been walking a certain way or sitting a certain way, or maybe we've had like breaks and things like that in our physical form. you know if we free that physical form up, will it aid in releasing some of the thought forms?
I think you're doing it the reverse. Because sometimes when I'm facilitating for people, I said there's no need, because you can take in the facilitation, which is done with the physical body a lot of times, and your other subtle bodies, but you won't hold it. Because the reason why you won't hold it is because the unconscious is holding it. And the unconscious is a force. Of course, it is the force. So it's going to dominate what you have in your brain and what you're creating until you let it know that it no longer has to support you that way. So it doesn't matter what you do physically. because you have to change it up you have to change your thoughts, which created it in the first place. And then you have the thought, and then you've got the emotion that comes, pushing the thought. It's the engine that gets everything. It's the little engine it's like the little engine that it keeps pushing it.
Yeah, sometimes I wish it was the little engine that wouldn't. In support of what we just said, though, I think calling into past podcasts, mental equivalencies, where whatever dis-ease we are experiencing in our physical form can be equaled as a window of showing us where the unconscious is at, what's dominating us by the unconscious, and try to use that as a vehicle to, make the change that you want, right?
Well, yeah, you can look at the mental equivalencies that your body is showing you. Or you can look at the people that you're attracting to yourself. You can look at the events, what's going on with your life. See, sometimes we just passively go through life from one thing to the next. And it would stand to reason, because most people don't understand that they create their own reality. So that's the challenge with that. And Leigh is talking about, and correct me if I miss the point, Leigh, but I think your point is that if we fix the physical body, then we can fix the challenge. But see, that's going in the opposite direction. It's like putting the cart before the horse. You got to deal with the horse first. Get him calmed down or her calmed down. Put all the things on the horse that you're going to attach the buggy to. But so it's the reverse. You can do all you want. That's why, let me say this. A good example of that is that there are people that have had cancer once, and then it's fixed. And then they turn around, they get it again. That's a good example of it.
But is it fixed from only, but is it fixed from only our kind of like, belief in like an allopathic cure or whatever, but because cancer is just like an energy, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The cure or the cutting doesn't necessarily fix the energetic blockage or the dis-ease within the cellular structure that actually created it, which of course would be tied into thought forms. But what I'm trying to understand is, I feel like we have this physical form, and if things can show up physically, we are, in our body, and then we can learn about mental equivalencies from it. I feel like, we're, things are bi-directional. So if we try to fix a pattern in our physicality, will it assist us to maybe have new thought forms?
Well, see, when you're fixing it, excuse me, Carol, but when you're fixing it, you've got to fix it with the thought form. The thought form comes first, because the thought form is what caused it in the first place. So when you deal with the thought form and you change the thought form, then you can begin to change the mental equivalency, or as you say, what's going on with the body.
Right, but let's say we can't identify we can't with our minds identify exactly the thought form, but then we look through the the Jacques Martel book, and we see like, oh, okay, I'm creating this due to feeling so and so and so. And if it is a physical, challenge, we've been not walking correctly. And so if we can be mindful to change the way we like actually walk or change the way we stand, maybe, a lot of us maybe sometimes just like stand very unconsciously, or if we can change the way we're breathing, so we can kind of quiet our minds a little bit and allow something else in, and then, we can have an aha thought moment like, oh, this is where, that loop is coming from, or the origin point.
You still have to go back to thought first. You've already, in your explanation that you've given us this morning, you've already talked about that you're going into thought first. Automatically, that's exactly what you've explained. We begin with thought. It's always thought, always. It's not going to be that you had a heart attack and then I'm going to talk to my heart. You got to talk to the reasons why you created it in the first place. And even if you don't know anything about creation of reality, you're going to start to think, I don't want a heart attack, but you're going to think about it, and you're going to think that maybe I'll just change my lifestyle. Maybe I'll change my diet. Maybe I won't work 7 days a week. Maybe I'll just work 5 days a week instead of putting so much emphasis on work. But even with that, what comes first? You're thinking. What is thinking producing? Thinking produces thought. It always goes back to thought. You cannot avoid that.
But you're sometimes, if you're not aware about, like if you're unaware of creation of reality, but then you actually do take some physical steps to shift a behavior or a habit, and then you actually do something physical, if you're not understanding creation of reality, can't that like physical act assist you?
But before you even choose the physical act, you have thought. Thought is always there, Leigh. Thought comes first before anything. Carol, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, to build upon what Leigh is saying, since I just personally experienced something physical change, I feel the physical change in my case alleviated a chronic pain, which in turn did help my thoughts to move forward more or less. So Leigh, is that sort of what you mean? Like if you
That's
can
what
adjust,
I'm getting. Like if maybe you're
just
fully
getting rid of
unaware.
pain helped me,
Right,
because
because if you sort something out on the physical level, and like maybe you're not fully distracted by those pain pulses, if the pain eases, like, okay, I guess if you want to say like you're thinking about the pain, but I mean that's like on a very like unconscious level, we're thinking about the pain. Like I'm sure Carol wasn't sitting in a room just like ruminating like this is gonna hurt, this is gonna hurt. No, it just was hurting, and then she took an action to try to remedy that situation, and then like, okay, the pain isn't, I'm not fully distracted by the pain all the time, so now I can free myself for like different kind of thought energy to emerge.
But the thing is that Carol had to use her thought to even decide what she was going to do to alleviate. What I'm saying here, you never can get away from thought. Thought creates the reality and is propelled by the emotions. Every example that both of you have given began with thought. All of these examples you're giving begin with thought. The person has to have the thought first. Sure, Carol had pain, which was a mental equivalency of some other challenges she was going through. But the point is that the pain was there because of thought. Thought created the vehicle that provided her with the pain. The pain is an emotion. So that emotion was pushing her to make certain other changes in her life, but it still began with thought and the pushing of emotion on that thought. You can't avoid it because that's how
I guess I'm not trying to say I'm avoiding it. What I'm asking the question is, like, sometimes we don't understand the full root of the loop, right?
Absolutely.
We don't understand the cause of the situation that created the thought that we unconsciously, tried to block ourselves, or we had some mechanism within us to not feel that again. So we sort of shoved it down deep. And because it's like, maybe stuck deep in our body, the thought, okay, could be stuck deep in our body, and we're so blocked that it can't, like, the pain could be a signal that this thing is there. But if we can't consciously, like, untangle that with our conscious thinking mind, like, will it, if we make some physical steps to try and release it, then we get the new thought that, like,
you cannot release the physical thing until you have thought. Thought is the releasing of whatever you're doing. Thought is always there first. It's never not there. It's always there first. And I know two negatives make a positive. So I'm not speaking in English in that term, but it still goes back to thought, Leigh. Even if you don't know why you stubbed your toe. But the point is that there was a thought that created you to stub your toe. And it's coming also from the unconscious that is assisting you it's giving you support to show you what's happening. Even if you don't know, like there's that cat. I love him. Which one is it?
It's Cooper.
Cooper. He's
his new thing is walking around with a little pom-pom in his mouth and yelling about it to show us all that he caught a pom-pom.
Can we send Cooper somewhere else with his pom-pom?
Well, because I took his sock away because he was doing that with the sock, but he's still making biscuits and doing his little dance. So,
okay. So, but getting back to, I deviated from that. So audience, please forgive me. That it's always thought. Just to even say that I'm going to a doctor. I don't care what kind of doctor you're going to. I'm going to a functional medicine doctor. I'm going to a naturopath. I'm going to a naturopath. I'm going to an allopathic. I'm going to a Chinese doctor. You got to have the thought to say, where am I going to go? Which way am I going to move with this? Not even knowing a doggone thing about that you create your own reality. So, but you got to have the thought first to say, I'm going to do something about this. That's thought.
Well, Greta, to equal it, because you're saying thought is how we create reality, and you've taught us many times that, and again, I'm going to use the double negative to make the positive. You're never not creating reality. It's going on at every moment at all times. So that means your thoughts are too.
Absolutely. Because that's what creates the reality. If you have a reality that's going on in your life experience in this reality, it had to begin with thought.
Mm.
To walk across the street, to get from one side of the street to the other, you got to think. You got to have thought. Even though you're not thinking through all the nuances of it, but it's still thought. It's still choosing. Choice is based on thought. If you don't think, you don't have you don't see a choice.
Mm.
So explain it again, Leigh. Perhaps I'm missing something.
No, I guess I'm trying to say that maybe because of the unconscious, right? We're not always aware necessarily. Okay, I want a candy bar. Okay. But when I say I want a candy bar, it's not like automatically I fully think about the 1,000 names of different candy bars that exist in this world. It's just that maybe I have a preference for this one that is, the one that I'm always drawn to, because maybe that's the one that I'm most familiar with, that I'm in a rut, a stuck thing about. I always go to the store and I buy this one kind. But then I can, maybe I go to a different city or I do something different. And then I make a physical choice to try something new. But again, I'm not actually thinking about like, oh, there are these 1,000 kind of candy bars and this is the one that I'm trying this time. You just try it. So I guess
I know,
that's
but
where
thought has got to be there. Thought must be there for you to even say, if you got 15,000 candy bars in front of you, or maybe you're just thinking of a candy. I want a piece of candy. I want a candy bar. That's a thought.
right. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to say that we don't have thoughts. What I'm trying to like get to is that I guess maybe we're not always aware of the thoughts that we're having, because sometimes that they're
yeah. Absolutely. Because I, at the thing that at the Consciousness Expo, and I'd like, before we close the show, to really thank everybody that worked that affair. But I told them, I said, sometimes you aren't, in other words, the example I gave, I always give a cancer example. I said, have you ever heard of anybody saying, give me cancer? You have never heard of anybody in this world saying, give me cancer. However, they still get it. And how do they get it? Because of the thoughts. And many times they're unaware of it. See, you're unaware of what you're doing. A lot of times, like when I fell in the dance, I'm falling. So, and I'm going, okay. So but it's showing me something. It's there. Those thoughts were there that perpetuated me to fall. I just wasn't aware of them. And that's what you're saying. But it's still thought. Because
right.
the unconscious perpetuates thought. Go ahead with yourself.
I'm not arguing about that thoughts aren't creating things. What I'm trying to get into is that so maybe you were creating to fall, right? So if you had no understanding of creation of reality, you would have just been like, oh dag, blaming that icy patch or I don't know what. And that's as far as it would have gone. But if you have a semblance of creation of reality and you weren't something was trying to get your attention and you still didn't listen, and then bang, you fall, when you're lying down looking up at the sky, you can maybe your creation because you have an awareness. Oh, okay, I fell down, I created an accident for myself, you know, what am I angry about? Right. And then I can think and say, like, okay, yes, like X, Y, and Z happened. So maybe, you know, this is why I created that fall. Thank you. I don't want to hold on to this, blah, blah, blah. So what I'm saying, what I'm trying to get to is, like, if, you know, we're constantly having unconscious thoughts that are creating our reality, you know, so as a tool, can we use this physical body to somehow maybe, you know, perform a different action, which makes the energy change, you know, and then we have access to, like, energy that will create a different thought form for us.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to say to you again that even with that,
Like, the body is cool
the
for,
body,
like,
the body itself is following the support of the unconscious, which is holding all of your thoughts. The unconscious is holding all of your thoughts and all your experiences that were created by thought. And then it yields you an experience it feels that you want to learn. So you may not be aware of it. You may not know that there are mental equivalencies. But one thing you can decide is, even if you don't know that, because I didn't learn about creation of reality nor start to practice it until I was in my 40s. So from being pre-birth up until 40, I didn't know anything about creation of reality. But what I knew was that there were certain things I wanted and there were certain things I did not want. Those are my decisions. And my decisions were made by me thinking, regardless if I knew about creation of reality or not. I was constantly in a state of creating, always. You're in a state of creating regardless if you know it or not. You're in a state of creating regardless if you believe it or not. Because when we stepped in here and decided that we wanted to be humanoid, then we stepped into that territory.
That was choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's so much that's automatic that we don't think about. Our heart beating, we're creating that. We don't consciously say, oh, I want to make sure my heart is beating so I can continue to live, or that my lungs are breathing. I mean, there's so much that's automatic that's still us creating it. And we don't think about it. But if it didn't happen, we probably wouldn't exist in this form.
Well, we would be if we chose to be in a different form, because every species is dealing with its own components that make up that life, that assist in the creation of the realities of that particular species. Yeah. So the body, yeah, you don't have to know. For 40 years, I didn't know anything about it. 40 years. And then, so how was Greta moving through life for 40 years? I just knew, like, for one instance, I knew I didn't want to be beaten anymore. I knew that because it hurt. I didn't know anything. I didn't know I created to be beaten because I didn't love myself. I didn't know that. All I knew was, here I am in a situation where I'm being beaten every day. Did I like it? No. So therefore, I didn't want to be hurt. So therefore, I decided, let me change my living environment. So that's what I did. So I think that must be what you're talking about. Because now, you know, I felt it. It's like I said to the people, what I'm saying, and to all people, I said, we are grounded in this illusion. And one of the things that helps us to ground ourselves in this reality of illusion are the five senses. The five senses, what? Smell, taste, touch. What are the other two? I never can remember.
Sight and
Seeing,
sound.
hearing. Right. The five senses. You don't even have to have all of them active. If you feel it, then you're going to believe it's real. If you don't feel it, but you see it, then you're going to believe it's real. That's what this whole thing is about here. And we were given the five senses. Not every species has those five senses. These five senses come with being humanoid.
Some here right on Earth more, like birds have a sense of the electromagnetic field of the Earth. We don't necessarily have that, but species here on Earth have more than the five senses. And I'd like to throw in there that pain, like physical pain, is also a sense, because there is actually a condition called congenital anesthesia. I can't even say it, but it's people that don't feel pain. And everyone goes, oh, wow, that's like being a superhero. But it's not. It's very dangerous, because these are people that can break bones and they don't feel the pain, and they can have serious repercussions. So pain is actually one of our senses too.
So in that
I think we're getting to break.
Oh no, I was just going to say, in the sense that Leigh brought it, I could be in agreement with what she's saying, because I was there 40 years doing that. Exactly what you just said. But see, once you understand that you create your own reality, then you can do something about the change. You can still do something about the change. It's like when I was being beaten, I didn't want to be there anymore. So how did I change it? I left. So that was the answer for that. I left. But I had to think. I had to feel that illusion of being hurt. And then I had to decide that I didn't want to be hurt anymore, because I blamed the other person, see, and I didn't want to be hurt with anymore. So I left. So that's what you're talking about, Leigh, I think.
Oh, I feel stuck. So we'll take a pause and be right back and hear what the realm has to say. Listeners, thank you for joining us today. We'll be right back. Thanks. Hello, and welcome back to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. We reach the point in the podcast where the realm gets to weigh in on their quotation. So, realm, are you with us?
Yes.
The quotation is a short one about stop being stuck. And the quotation is exactly, you can always change. You are never stuck. And we got a little off on a stuck tangent in our discussion with Greta. So maybe you can share some things with how to unstick yourself.
That was nice. I think you called us Greta. I think you said,
Oh,
but that's all right because we're one with her anyway. So thank you for reminding us of that oneness. Stuck. You only are stuck when you think you are stuck. If you think you are stuck, then so you are stuck. It's by way of your thoughts. And we listened to the interesting conversation you ladies had on that. But the bottom line is you're creating your reality regardless if you know you are or not. Because this is the space that you came into. And everything we must reiterate what has been discussed here, and that is that everything stems from thought. Everything stems from thought.
Realm, if we can just provide some insight for especially new listeners, can you be specific with how we change thought? Like when we do feel we're stuck, what are some actual steps we can take to change that situation and get unstuck?
You're going to a party, Carol. You walk over to your closet. There's a red dress. You say, I think I'm going to wear the red dress to the party. You try it on. You look at yourself and you say, this is not really the style that I want to show people. So you go back into your closet and you get a different colored dress and a different colored style. You try it on and you like that. So therefore you keep it on and go to the party. Your lives are like a party. You try different things. Some of the things you keep because you're using them to learn lessons. Sometimes you're in a lesson and you don't even realize that you're doing the lesson over and over and over again. And that's okay. Because what happens if you continue to do it over and over and over again, and you make your transition and you still have not learned the lesson, then you're going to take it with you. And you're going to be giving yourself the opportunity to continue to learn it. But you are committed to the learning of every lesson that was given. That is your commitment here. Some people choose lessons that are easy. Some people choose lessons that you would say, quote unquote, are difficult. Some people choose a mixture of lessons. Some people just choose lessons that are all the way high vibrational. And maybe they'll throw in a peanut here or there, you know. So it's for you to decide how you're going to work this out. But you don't have to know anything about creation of reality, really. Because all you're going to do is change your choice. I don't have to know about mental equivalencies. You don't have to know about any of this. It just makes it easier to know about something so that you can change it, because you change it with being definite about it. I'm definitely changing something. But you can change it without, like your dress, going to the party. If you look at this life as a party, what dresses are you going to put on? I don't know anything about creation of reality, but I'm going to put on a skirt with a blue blazer today and a white blouse, or my dark blue trousers that go with my tan jacket. And I'm going to wear a purple tie and a lilac shirt. So you put all these things together. You're not thinking that your thought comes first to have chosen the tie. You just think, I like this tie. You don't realize that as soon as you think, I like, that's a thought. You see.
Right, Realm.
So,
Okay.
Yes.
No, I suppose this is what I was trying to suss out with Greta. You know, like I can equate what you just said about the various dresses, that those dresses are kind of like a tool that in this physical reality, you see the tool, the red dress, you use that tool and it doesn't make you feel better. And then you change it to this other one and that tool, oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about creation of reality, but what I know is that, you know, the blue dress made me feel better about me, that can make me access different thoughts because now I'm feeling a little more happy. I'm feeling a little more confident. So I'm, you know, so I'm using that as a guide to more of those better feelings and to create from that path instead of choosing the red dress and say, oh, I don't, this is too tight, it's not flattering, and then you go down that path. So I guess what I was trying to ascertain from Greta is that, like, can we use the body, like, initially because we have it, you know, can we use our breath? Because in this, you know, human experience, the breath is always with us. So can we use this thing that is like readily available to for us as like a tool to try and access like different thought forms, you know, even if it's just we make a choice to exercise and that exercise leads to, creates, you know, a different body form. So we then feel better. Like that, I guess that's what I was trying to suss out earlier.
You use the word tool, the tool.
A tool, like the dress could be a tool, body could be a tool.
No, the dress would not be a tool.
Why not? Because the green dress was the tool that made you feel not good.
It's not a tool. The tool is what you use to even begin to think about putting on the red dress in the first place, or putting on or choosing the suit in the first place. There's something that comes before you go in there and say, I'm choosing the red dress. It is something.
Choice is predicated on thought, right?
Absolutely. Even if you're going to the gym is not the tool. That first tool, you have to be able to get yourself to the gym. You have to know, you have to think that you want to go to the gym. And thinking is a process in thought. To think, to be able to process, to be able to think you're going to use going to the gym. To think that you're going to use choice. It's choice. Choice to go to the gym and do Pilates, or choice to go to the gym and do Qigong. But it's not the Qigong is the tool, the beginning tool. We'll understand that you see each one of these things. You're seeing the consequence of using the tool of thought. To go to the gym, to change your body, to take medicine that's going to assist you in losing weight. It's not necessarily, the medicine could be, I can see where you're coming from. You're seeing that these things that you can use to accomplish other things, that's the tool. That's what you're saying to us.
Yes,
but what we're saying to you is that you have to have choice to decide what tool you're going to use. And the choice is coming from thought. Now, what are you saying to us, Leigh?
I feel like we're like really parsing ridiculous hairs. And so
ridiculous hairs? What do you mean?
Like our thoughts in creating reality created us to have a closet and to have the green spectrum and the red spectrum. And then, the red dress made us feel, when we put it on, our creation, that red dress carried with it, it's too tight, I don't feel good, I don't feel comfortable or confident. But then when we shifted choices to put on the blue one, the style was different. It made us have more thought.
What is your point that you're making to us?
My point is, I guess we're parsing hairs about what's a tool.
We're not parsing hairs, Leigh.
The original tool.
We are not parsing hairs here. We're just giving an explanation to you that everything that you are saying here and that you've been saying all morning is beginning with thought first. That is all that we are saying to you.
And I'm not negating that thought is the thing that makes the thing. All I'm asking is a lot of times we're not aware. And
absolutely.
If
most of the time, Leigh, most of the time, people are not aware.
Just go with the blue makes me feel better, and then I can tap into other thoughts based on that feeling of feeling good.
So let me say this to you. What you believe and what you want to believe is okay. First, we must let you know that. However you think about this is okay. Because that is where you are at, and we love you unconditionally and accept you to be in that place. However, that is not the only place to be. That is all that we have to say. That is not the only place to be.
Right? There's bajillions and trillions in this infinite universe, trillions of choices.
It depends on the person. It depends on where the person is. The choices come by where the person is. There are a lot of probabilities out there. There are realities, yes. But each individual person chooses where they want to be, what they want to be, how they want to do it, and why they want to do it. each person, and it's okay. Anywhere anyone is at, it's okay. Because we have taught that there is no failure in any way, shape, or form. It's just the experience that you wish to utilize to learn your lessons. So if you want to think that the tool comes first, that's fine. That is okay. Because I'm sure there are people in the audience who would be in agreement that the tool must come first. And then from that, then I'm going to think about it. So if that is where that person is at that point in time, it's okay. It's all right. But what we're teaching here is not to go, as you call it, splitting hairs. We're not splitting hairs with you under any circumstance. We don't split hairs with anybody. But we do understand where you are. And what we're saying to you is, that's okay.
Realm, when I first met Gretta, and that was really the first time I heard about creation of reality, we had a lot of previous similar beliefs in both of our lives. I'm not going to say pasts, things like reincarnation and karma and whatever was trendy at the time. And I remember asking her, why have I never heard before now about creation of reality? And I think it was you speaking at the time through Gretta, telling me that I wasn't ready for it yet, and that you're only going to learn knowledge that you're ready to accept. So 20 years ago, creation of reality would not be something that would have been palatable to me, perhaps. And now I am more accepting and open to learning. I'm taking those blinders and expanding them a little bit more to take in this new theory or whatever you want to call it. Are you in agreement with that? Like that's where what you mean when you're saying where someone is at?
Absolutely. We've been with Greta ever since before she was born. We've watched her move through all of the changes that she's had in her life. We've watched her make mistakes, quote unquote mistakes, because that's how she saw them.
Right.
And also, she had no knowledge, this physical knowledge of creation of reality. So we watched her go through making choices based on how did it, as Leigh said, how did it make her feel? She didn't think about thought of any. The thought wasn't there as far as her knowledge of the thought or her conscious recognition of it. But she moved through life regardless of if she believed. She didn't know anything about mental equivalencies. She didn't know anything about creation of reality. She just knew what she liked and what she didn't like. She learned through her experiences what she wanted to keep in her life and what she did not want to keep in her life. And we watched her grow. She did not know about us other than the fact we would call her name. That's all she knew of us. But it was a process of being human. And that was okay for her to go through that process. Because that's what she accepted when she decided to be humanoid. just like our decision was to be only pure thought.
Realm, we just have about 1.5 minutes left. Do you have anything to close with?
Absolutely. We always love closing, but the one thing that we want to say to everyone is to love yourselves unconditionally. And now we would like to take it a little step further, and that is to watch what you speak, watch what you think. Be aware of your surroundings. Who are you bringing to yourself? Maybe you're not in agreement with creation of reality as we speak it. However, you are in it because you decided to be human. Thank you.
Realm, thank you for joining us. Gretta, Carol, thank you for another podcast of Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. Listeners, thank you for joining us today until we create each other again.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with the realm and me, Gretta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multi-dimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.